أكبر الله أكبر
This masjid was built in 1826, and ever since the prayer call was there.
Come for success, come for praise.
The azan actually reminding us of their struggle to survive. And they persevere and they have a confidence to be successful.
It symbolizes the Indian Muslims to come for the masjid and contribute for the country.
I'm running the business Barakat Frame Maker Private Limited. Our company is a third generation now. My grandfather, then our father, then we are running now. So every prayer time we go there and pray and come back running the business. And there's some functions also we go and helping there. We always be here. We are more and more happy for the nearest mosque.
Built in 1826, this mosque is one of the oldest masjids in Singapore.
Yang menarik ialah masjid-masjid ini terletak di kawasan yang kita anggap sekarang sebagai Chinatown.
The Chulias, they originated from the Coromandel coast of Tamil Nadu, South India. During the migration, they preferred Chinatown for their trade and businesses.
Pentingnya mengetahui sejarah masjid orang India di Singapura ialah peranan mereka dalam menumbuhkan sejumlah masjid awal di Singapura yang sangat awal, dari tahun 1820-an sampai 1850-an.
The Indians in general and Indian Muslims were in this region even way earlier before Raffles, right? I mean, they were holding positions in the Malaccan Sultanate and also in Kepada when they were doing trade in this region. But if we talk about when the British came here in 1819, the Indian Muslim traders were also here. And eventually the term Chulia came about, because the British and the people in Bengal, where the East India Company were, referred to the Muslims as Chulias, the southern Muslims as Chulias, from the Chola dynasty. Yeah? So that's where the Tamil Muslims were referred to as Chulia. And if you look at the mosque building, for example, Masjid Chulia was built in 1827, yeah, and also Al-Abra and Nagodarga. So as early as that period, the Indian Muslims were already here.
This is the beautiful Nagur Dargah Indian Muslim Heritage Center. Prior to this was actually called Nagur Dargah Shrine or Kramat Nagur Dargah. Nagur is the name of a town, a prominent town on the eastern part of Tamil Nadu, or we call it the Coromandel Coast. So in 1490 is the birth of our Saint Shaul Hamid. He a very holy person, very close to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, and he became a spiritual leader with many followers.
Jadi yang dibina di Singapura itu bertujuan memperingati seseorang yang dihormati oleh orang Tamil Muslim dan menghadap ke laut, menghadap ke perairan.
So we have Tamils who are also Tamil Muslims coming in. They took the ship, and as they left India, they would go to the town of Nagur, where the holy saint Shaul Hamid is buried, to pray for a safe journey.
When they land, and that's where they built the Nagor Dargah. Nagor Dargah is not a mosque, it is a shrine or a mausoleum or a makam. It is built very similar to Nagor shrine in Kepada in India.
So here we have a nice picture actually of Mount Walij and Erskine, and you can see the closeness of Teluk Air Strait to the sea.
Jadi dulu kalau kita naik kapal, kita akan nampak Nagor Dargah tu.
In earlier photos of that place, you will see that it is not just the Nagor Dargah, but also in front of Nagor Dargah, there were similar arches. Right? So when they come, they land, they go through that arch to go to the Nagor Dargah. It's like a rite of passage that they have come to land. In 1867, Singapore became a crown colony under the crown. So in that phase, a lot of traders came here because the British, the East India Company wanted Singapore to be a trading port. About 70 to 80% of the Indian migrants in Singapore then were Muslims. And then beyond 1867 to the Second World War, you will have a mixed group of people that comes in. People who come here to work, people who come here to join the military and the police force.
After the Second World War, India experienced famine and poverty. There were a lot of job opportunities for them in Singapore, so they come in families. Kadenallur people originally they are very obligated to Islam. So in Kadenallur we have closely about 45 mosques in Kadenallur. We have a few hundred madrasas in Kadenallur. They call South Medina of India.
That was, I suppose, the beginning of families settling down in Singapore, and as you know, they all stayed on, and no more sojourning, coming here for trade and going back. The mosque was set up not just as a place for prayer, but it's also like a community facility.
Wherever the Indian Muslims went, they made sure that Islam is preserved, right? And of course, with your rootedness and anchoring in the religion, your values and your traditions are safeguarded.
And the mosque was set up not just as a place for prayer, but it's also like a community facility. There's a place where the new migrants will come and they will be welcomed and they'll be introduced to places around them.
So of course, when there is a mosque, there must be a community living around the mosque. Masjid Jamia Chulia, your Masjid Al-Abrar. For such elegant building to have arisen, It must show the economic power of the community to have raised it at that point of time.
On the 14th of November 1974, this masjid was gazetted as the National Monument of Singapore.
Jamia Chulia was built in 1826 and then Al-Abrar 1827. And then it was a thatched hut. It's a hut mosque. There were no bricks. In 1850, they started doing it become a brick building.
Dalam istilah orang Tamil dipanggil yang satu ini kecil, Kucu Pali, yang satu lagi besar, Periyar Pali. Ya, Periyar Pali itu Jamia Chulia.
So we are related. Jamia Wakaf and Al-Abrar and Nagud Dargah, the three of them actually come under Jamia Wakaf. And in 1974, it was gazetted as a national monument by National Heritage Board.
Jadi ini cuma baru kita lihat di kawasan Chinatown. Selebihnya belum lagi kan. Misalnya kalau Masjid Abdul Ghafur, jangan kita lupakan juga itu salah satu masjid awal. Masjid Abdul Ghafur ni di kawasan yang sekarang kita panggil Little India. Tapi nama aslinya yang sampai sekarang masih wujud ialah Kampung Kapur.
To depict the Indian mosque, especially from Nagaur. Yeah. So you see the hexagonal spiral sphere, for example. Not so much the big onion dome. Yeah. So you see a lot more of those towers.
Tahun ini merupai tahun yang ke-170 untuk tanah Masjid Abdul Ghafur itu sendiri. It's the 170th, dan juga the musalla itself, the main building. It is the 120th year pada tahun ini, 2024.
Dari segi kalau kita ingin memberikan label ataupun menamakan style, gaya Masjid Abdul Ghafur, boleh kita panggil eklektik atau campuran.
Sebenarnya daripada tahun 90-an, Masjid Abdul Ghafur ini kita dapat macam-macam award internationally and locally because of our architectural design.
Itu salah satu aspek yang mengagumkan. Selain itu, masjid itu tidak cut corner, dia tidak mahu memudahkan sesuatu perkara. Jadi setiap ciri yang kita boleh dapati dari masjid India Selatan ataupun Tamil Nadu itu terdapat di Masjid Abdul Ghafur.
In Dunlop Street or Abdul Ghafur, they also have some Moorish architecture style there.
Dan juga terdapat ciri lain seperti gable wall ataupun dinding yang menyerupai kawasan hujung bumbung. Dan gable wall ini mempunyai sundial ataupun kalau kita istilah Melayunya seperti bentuk matahari lah, ya, yang mempunyai nama 25 Nabi dan Rasul. Dan itu sangat istimewa lah, satu-satunya di Singapura. Jadi dari segi seni khat ataupun kaligrafinya sangat halus. Selain daripada itu, masjid ini juga mempunyai salah satu kubah terawal yang dibina di Singapura. 1907 sekian dah siap.
This masjid was designed by George Drumgold Coleman, an Irish architect. He also designed the Armenian church and our old Parliament House. While the entrance gates is distinctively South Indian, the main prayer halls are neoclassical style. So this symbolizes and the appearance, is a mix of Western and Asian style design.
Gerbang masuk itu dengan dua menara kecilnya itu menunjukkan ciri culiannya. Bentuk bumbung yang kita panggil limas, berperabung lima lah. Dan tidak ada bertingkat-tingkat, cuma satu tingkat aja. Tidak ada berlapis-lapis bumbungnya tu. Tapi ruang dalamnya itu mempunyai pembahagian ruang yang kita lazim dapati dalam masjid orang India di Tamil Nadu juga.
I can say Al-Abrar follows Indo-Islamic architecture style because we are from India.
Abrar itu mempunyai deretan yang sama dengan shop house. Jadi dia mengikuti tipologi ataupun bentuk shop house. Ada kaki lima, kemudian ada ruangan masuk, ruangan pertama dan ruangan induk. Jadi Masjid India pasti ada ruang induk itu.
And we have the interior held up by Doric columns. And then we have French-influenced color glassed fan light windows. And we have a baluster railings.
Jadi kalau kita masuk ke dalam, dia ada ruang luar dan ruang induk. Itu yang jadikan Masjid Al-Abrar ini dapat dikenal pasti sebagai jenis Masjid India. Di dalamnya ada ruang induk. Dan ruang induk ini lebih kurang menyerupai bentuk yang terdapat di Jamik Chulia, tapi Jamik Chulia lebih besar.
And our signature one I can say is Maulid Badr, because that's the one actually people have a patience, and then people love to join our masjid for this Maulid Badr. We have a majlis for 12 nights, which is reading the Sirah of Rasulullah in Rabiul Awwal.
My name is Muhammad Faizullah Abdul Jabbar. Right now I'm studying in NTU, accountancy final year. I've been coming to this masjid since the age of 5 or 6. I think it's now part of our duty and responsibility to carry on what our ancestors or what our previous generation, like my fathers, did for the masjid. Every community has a way of reciting the Maulid. So let's say the Burda, the Malay community might have a way of reciting it, and the Indian Muslim community might have a way of reciting it as well. So we want to pass on the Indian Muslim tradition on to more people as well.
Jadi jemaah-jemaah yang memakmurkan Masjid Abdul Ghafur ini kebanyakannya adalah daripada our own Indian Muslim community. Jadi masjid ini, Masjid Abdul Ghafur ini kita bermadhab Hanafi. Kita akan ikut cara India itu sendiri, daripada sudut maulid, daripada sudut tahlil yang kita baca, daripada sudut kuliah yang kita ada di sini, semuanya kita mengikuti cara orang-orang India lah, yang datangnya daripada India itu sendiri.
Goes as far back as 1953. Three gentlemen, they purchased the two shop houses at 16 and 18 Market Street. It was just at the entrance of the current UOB Plaza 1. It was a masjid for about 30 years.
Terdapat banyak sekali sebenarnya kedai dan perusahaan orang Tamil Muslim di kawasan Market Street dan Chulia Street. Cuba kita bayangkan, Chulia Street itu di Raffles Place.
The original two locations of the masjid, the two shop houses, was right at the center of the UOB Plaza 1 entrance, where you can see now on my right. Previously, the two shop houses were only 1,660 square feet, but currently we exchanged this for 6,600 square feet. So it's at least 5 times bigger than the previous two shop houses. Most of the congregants here are all working adults, office workers, you can say.
Yang menarik bagi Masjid Bencoolen atau Masjid Bengkulu, aslinya kawasan itu dalam bahasa Melayu dan juga dalam sumber-sumber kolonial, sumber British, dipanggil Kampung Bengkulu. Kalau Inggerisnya kampung menggunakan C, istilah kampung itu dimasukkan dalam bahasa Inggeris tapi diubah spelling, ejaan. Kampung Bencoolen.
The mosque was very small, but after that they built up with the mosque was central, surrounding with nearly 20 to 25 shops.
Jadi Masjid Kampung Bengkulu ini aslinya dibina dan adalah diwakafkan oleh Said Omar Al-Junaid, orang Arab dan juga Syafi'i, mazhab Syafi'i. Kemudian awal 1900-an baru dipindahkan jadi Masjid Hanafi.
Then Majlis Ugama Islam Singapura come out with the idea that why don't we utilize your place for better space and better revenue for the masjid. Then they rebuilt this masjid. We have a multi-purpose hall downstairs. We have a second story, third story, and one more, fourth story. Now we are building up now for the youth corner. Because surrounding our masjids, lot of universities. So it will be really going to be a youth-friendly once after we build up.
Best in character, we have Muhammad Al-Afzal.
So after we do some research, we thought there is not much Tahfiz madrasah classes for our community. We have 150 students now at the moment. So 96 boys and 44 girls, alhamdulillah. And this year we proudly started Tahfiz class for girls. We already have 10 Hafiz boys. Now they are going to various masajids, leading the prayers.
The Angolias are Gujaratis. They came to trade in Singapore, set up office in Singapore, and they even stayed. Until today, you will find Anglia families in Singapore.
Kalau kita bandingkan masyarakat India Selatan lebih besar lah. Lebih besar di Singapura. 2018 kita robohkan, dibangun semula lah. Jadi ini yang paling besar lah yang akhir ni. Kita buka 20. Sebab di masjid ni mungkin di bawah kalau kamu lihat ada community pantry. Orang akan datang tiap-tiap bulan ambil barang-barang makanan ini dari masjid ni. Jadi itu peranan dia sebagai social development masjid. Masjid untuk boleh mengedarkan zakat, kutip zakat dan juga mengedarkan wang zakat pada yang boleh menerimanya lah.
And then from there it is expanded to help also the migrant worker community, and from there our programs and outreach makin bertambah. Ini semua program-program yang kita tambah, it's like a value added, tambah nilai lah, tambah a value added service that we provide at the mosque, not only for the migrant workers, for the foreign domestic workers, also for the community at large lah. Selain daripada manage the mosque, kita ada few projects yang kita ada buat. One of them is the Heritage Gallery yang kita mulakan 2-3 tahun. And kita dalam the final phases of the project. InsyaAllah by ujung tahun ini, by middle of the year, InsyaAllah the Heritage Gallery menceritakan keluarga Anglia.
Untuk ahli keluarga Anglia ada kasihkan dana untuk pembangunan masjid-masjid lain juga, dan untuk membuat masjid di negeri Malaysia, Johor, di India, di Bangladesh, di Indonesia, di Philippines ada.
inilah. Ini masjid didirikan pun dia pakai arkitektur daripada India, satu negeri yang bernama Nagore dahulu kala dalam abad ke-18. Jadi pedagang-pedagang India ni dia orang daripada Laut Kuala Kedah ni datang dengan tongkang besar.
Masyarakat India Muslim ini dikenali sebagai masyarakat yang patuh atau taat kepada Islam. Ini satu perkara yang kita tak boleh nak nafikan. Sehingga kemudiannya muncul teori yang menyatakan bahawa kalau nak lihat kedatangan Islam ke rantau alam Melayu kat Asia Tenggara ini, salah satunya adalah peranan yang dimainkan oleh masyarakat India Muslim ini. Sama ada mereka di Kedah, sama ada mereka di Pulau Pinang, sama ada mereka di Melaka, sama ada mereka di Singapura. Salah satu perkara yang punya kaitan dengan mereka adalah institusi masjid.
Kalau ikut sejarah di Malaysia ni, kita namakan sini Kedah Tua. Jadi di sinilah mula-mulanya pedagang bertapak di sini. Jadi tidak mustahil lah kata Masjid Nagore ni dia ada kaitan dengan masjid di Singapura.
Kalau di Kedah dan juga di negeri-negeri sebelah pantai timur, aktiviti perniagaan dijalankan termasuklah perniagaan beras antara Kedah dengan Pulau Pinang. Mereka juga menjalankan aktiviti membawa haiwan ternakan daripada petani, daripada Kelantan dan sebagainya.
Dulu di sini kita ada hub perniagaan, ada makanan. Banyak orang-orang India Muslim berniaga di sini dan ada banyaklah aktiviti. Jadi bila zaman berlalu, kebanyakannya sudah balik ke India. Tinggallah generasi kami sendiri. Dan aktiviti pun taklah serancak dulu. Pasal kita jemaah di sini lebih kurang registered member untuk yang daftar dengan masjid ni lebih kurang 200 orang, 180 macam tu.
Dalam yang bangunan ini, bangunan kapur yang lama tu, dah ada lebih kurang 200 tahun lebih dah ada tu. Tapi struktur dia tak pakai simen apa-apa, dia semua batu kapur.
Ini merupakan satu peninggalan dan juga satu kesan dalam pembangunan dan juga penyebaran agama Islam yang berlaku di Pulau Pinang dan juga di seluruh kawasan sini.
Sebenarnya dia kira Masjid Nagore ni daripada turun-temurun daripada sana. Dulu masyarakat orang Nagore banyak di sini. Yang pedagang-pedagang sekarang sudah dikurangkan. Dia hanya yang orang yang tua-tua yang tahu tentang Masjid Nagore ni.
Tempat ni telah digazetkan sebagai tapak warisan dunia dalam Georgetown. So kami sentiasa memastikan kawasan ni akan diwarisi ataupun dijaga rapi dengan mengikut simbolik heritage. Kita tidak akan renovation, but kita akan memastikan struktur-struktur asal itu dijaga, dirapi. Itu menjadi satu yang cabaran sebenarnya untuk nak jaga benda tu. Pasal pembinaan tempat ni bukan kepada simen dan plaster, dia menggunakan pasir pantai. Dan memang nak jaga memang agak payah.
Ketika abad yang ke-16, tumpuan mereka, perdagangan mereka dilakukan di Aceh. Tetapi selepas itu dan abad 17, 18 itu dan 19 berikutnya adalah di Tanah Melayu. Dan kemudiannya dengan perubahan negeri-negeri Selat dan juga kewujudan Singapura dan Melaka. Tempat-tempat itu menjadi antara kawasan tumpuan mereka. Jadi kalangan masyarakat India Muslim ini sebenarnya memang mempunyai sejarah yang cukup menariklah dalam konteks di Malaysia maupun di Singapura dan juga di Indonesia secara amnya.
The Indian Muslim now is about 13% of the Muslim population. But if you look at the value of the wakaf, almost half of the wakaf in terms of value are from the Indian Muslims.
I was a teacher for nearly about 50 years. Then part-time, I joined in many societies to do social service. These are some of the service by me. After my retirement, I thought myself change the job. So in Sumbangan Road, I am running a restaurant. This restaurant not to make money, to serve people. let's say there's a more profit on that day, particular day, more people will get a food. We have a system. Actually, we have a list of few hundred people with us. So every day, my Barakat restaurant is giving free food to the needy and less fortunate people. Our Muslim values says zakat and sadaqah is very important. So from beginning, we are following this.
Almost half of the wakaf in terms of value are from the Indian Muslims. And this, not just the mosque, but also properties that are associated with the mosque. I mean, one good example would be the MSE Angulya Wakaf, for example, where other than the mosque, they own office space.
Yeah. Ada campur-campur lah. Ada kebanyakan ada rumah kedai, ada kondominium, ada rumah kedai, banyakkan rumah kedai, shop houses sama kondominium yang disewakan kepada private lah. Nilai dia berpuluhan juta lah.
Dalam berapa?
Ikut turun naik harga lah. Saya rasa dari segi investment dia dekat property dalam 40-50 juta adalah.
Jamia Wakaf consists of Masjid Al-Abrar, Masjid Jamia Chulia, Nagud Dargah, the building in front of the Nagud Dargah, and then some shop houses around Jamia Chulia.
Again, the last I remember, the value of the Wakaf Chulia is about 120 million. And they get surplus every year of over $1 million. And these are surplus. So again, it is being distributed to the two mosques and Nagud Dargah for activities to support the mosque activities and events.
Alhamdulillah, is more than enough to what we actually spend. So taking care of staff's salaries, taking care of all the majlis events, expenses, and everything is taken care of.
I'm old enough to remember what Bengkulan Mosque was then. It was small, dilapidated, but very large compound. In the 2000, when Muiz decided to develop that piece of land, the whole idea is not just to build a mosque, but there must be properties that you can get some income to support the mosque, rather than the mosque dependent on donations all along.
Then they rebuilt this masjid with a Somerset hotel just beside as a service apartment.
And in the case of Bengkulan, that was the first time where Muiz raised sukuk funds, raised funds to develop that property.
Masjid didn't pay any single cent because we give the land, they invest. In future, inshallah, the revenue will come back to the mosque, and the mosque can do a lot to the community.
When it was a mosque by itself, I suppose the value wasn't very much. But after Somerset, Bengkulan, again in around a few years ago, it was valued about 70 million. And the surplus are a few hundred thousand every year.
Masjid yang sekarang di kawasan yang dianggap kawasan Melayu, aslinya bermula sebagai wakaf dan milik ataupun dana orang India Muslim, Tamil dan sebagainya. Misalnya Masjid Kasim yang mungkin sangat terkenal, Masjid Khadijah juga orang India, Masjid Aminah juga oleh orang India, tapi beliau dari Palembang.
Over the years, the Indian Muslims do not stay in enclaves, only in Chinatown or Little India area. They move and stay with the other kampongs. So that is where I think the intermingling with the Malays are. And again, for those who are well endowed, they leave behind endowment where mosques were built.
Orang-orang Melayu yang mengangkat kandar penjualan jajaan mereka itu sekitar kampung-kampung Melayu yang terdekat keliling ini, mereka selalu berehat waktu Zohor di depan sebelah Onan Road ni dan bersembayang Zohor selalu. Jadi daripada situ mereka bergabung dengan pihak-pihak peniaga India dengan tuan tanah ini. Terjadilah declaration perwakafan tanah ini menjadikan sebuah masjid. Boleh dikatakan pewakafan Masjid Khalid ni unik sikit. Jadi semua pihak boleh ada tempat. Maknanya orang Melayu, orang India, orang Arab. Jadi itu sebab Masjid Khalid tak terselah macam ini Masjid Kampung Melayu, ini Masjid Pure India, Julia Street, Masjid Jami. Jadi Masjid Khalid ni bagus, menunjukkan bersama dan satu pergaulan antara semua untuk mentadbirkan.
Jadi aslinya tapak Masjid Malabar diperuntukkan oleh Sultan Ali dan pada tahun 1906 ada rencana untuk membina masjid untuk Tamil Muslim yang berbentuk Nusantara, berbentuk Melayu atau Jawa. Tapi projek itu tidak pernah jadi. Ada dalam lakaran drawing ataupun denah bangunan tapi tak pernah dibina. Kemudian datang projek untuk membina masjid bukan Tamil lagi tapi Malabar. Dan Masjid Malabar ini siap 50-an, 60-an.
Subhanallah walhamdulillah wa la ilaha illallah.
So that's the only Malayali mosque, so to speak, compared to the other Tamil mosques.
That was in 1980s. Pasal ini masjid dulu dia wall semua dia orang painting, kena paint 1 tahun 2 tahun sekali kena paint. But then our committee decided we have to do the tiles because we don't want the whitewashing every 2 tahun sekali bikin tu whitewashing. Apa kita bikin tiles.
The mosque is a Malabari mosque and we have our Sunni way of teaching. As a Sunni mosque, the dhikr and the ratib that we conduct, there's actually a special program. I would say a heritage, an Islamic heritage that we have picked up from Kerala itself. It may not be common in our Singaporean mosque, but it's unique. So of course we invite our Muslim Jemaah to always come and partake in this dhikr, majlis, ratib that we have.
Kita punya community sekarang dalam 10,000 plus minus. Contribution is still there.
1 week, every Thursday I come back. 1 week fortnight. The one man's kutubiyat majlis or maulud all come back.
Kita buat, mereka akan bagi kita like plastik untuk berikan semua orang macam roti atau sweet macam ni. Dan kita akan tolong untuk berikan ke semua.
Helping, happy lah. Children, anybody helping, the food, all Quran reading. Very happy lah, helping. The Malabar Mosque Allah rezeki, no.
We still dapat sokongan daripada orang Malbari. Dia punya contoh dia. Bila siapa-siapa yang dah meninggal, diorang telefon kat sini. Macam apa-apa kenduri, kendarat ke apa, dengan baca maulud, they still invite. The problem, Singapore Indian Muslim mosque could not get a suitable and well-knowledge people to be the Imam in the Indian Muslim mosque.
I think the majority of the Indian Muslims still want to maintain their language, the language that their forefathers spoke. So they had no choice but to bring in imams from South India.
I think in long run, Singapore and the mosque have to produce the local imam. Because Singapore have our own culture, own tradition, own way of life.
With that, the community hopes that the young people will come back and serve the mosque. Well, I think this is happening.
Nama saya Muhammad Sufi bin Abdul Salim, umur saya 26 tahun. Sebelum ini saya belajar di Madrasah Al-Junaid Al-Islamiyah. Saya sebenarnya seorang Indian Muslim. Ayah saya seorang Chindian ya. Jadi nenek saya seorang Teochew yang menjadi anak angkat kepada keluarga Indian Muslim. Tapi di sebelah ibu saya pula kedua atuk dan nenek saya orang India. Dekat atas the Gate of Paradise. They call this the Gate of Paradise.
Saya adalah seorang yang bekas pelajar Madrasah Al-Junaid Al-Islamiyah dan juga University of Jordan. Pertama kali masuk Madrasah Al-Junaid, saya ada dua bahasa je, English dengan Tamil. So saya belajar bahasa Melayu tu dekat Madrasah Al-Junaid.
Indian Muslim community kita ini, kita harus belajar bahasa Melayu dan juga bahasa Arab. Ini yang jadi masalah dan macam mana cakap, it's something that the parents are worried about.
Tidak ramai orang daripada masyarakat saya ataupun lokal buan asatizah yang Indian Muslim yang ada di dalam this scene, the scene of masjid dekat Singapura. So saya rasa that saya patutnya ambil that tanggungjawab dan represent dan menjadi suara masyarakat saya, iaitu suara orang Indian Muslim.
Kita juga ada madrasah preparatory program. Kita ini untuk beri semangat kepada komuniti Indian Muslim kita untuk masuk madrasah.
Mosque is not only for the fulfillment of the religious purposes. It's not only a nice building. Beyond that, mosque can play a very important role in nation building.
I think one of the things which I hope that the Indian Muslim community will feel that they are part and parcel, an integral part of the Muslim community, and they are not a community which is sidelined or separate from the whole Muslim community.
Jadi mungkin dari segi melihat sejarah dan kesinambungannya sampai ke hari ini, sangat penting kita memperingati sumbangan dan peranan orang India Muslim, dan juga sudah pasti Masjid India Muslim itu menjadi sumber kebanggaan bagi mereka.